Action!
Action!
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Speakers Forum. Thank you for coming to listen to my talk. I'm going to talk about political prisoners because there are actually 22 people in prison in the UK right now, which I think is something not a lot of people actually know. So when I say political prisoners, who do you think of? Is there someone that comes into your mind? You can call them out if you want to. But no pressure. Okay, well for me, when I think of a political prisoner, I think of the suffragettes, I think of Nelson Mandela, I think of Gandhi, I think of people who made sacrifices and were imprisoned for standing up for something they believe in. And because of their actions, we now have a fairer, more equal, more just society. And so I'm grateful to those people who have been political prisoners throughout history, and they're celebrated now. Like there's a statue of Gandhi in Parliament Square, there's a statue of the suffragettes in Parliament Square. These people who at the time were vilified for taking direct action and trying to make social change were imprisoned at the time, but now we build statues to celebrate them and thank them. So yeah, there are 22 people in prison in the UK right now. I'm going to read you their names. We've got Stefan Wright, Luke Watson, Roger Hallam, Indigo Rumbelow, Margaret Reed, Ella Ward, Daniel Knorr, Audrey Corno, Ian Sanders, William Plastow, Jordan Delvin, Zoe Rogers, Hannah Davidson, Madeline Norman, Leona Camino, Fatima Rajwandi, Charlotte Head, Sean Middleborough, Alexandra Herbich, Yulia Brigadova, Kamran Ahmed, and Tuta Hoxha. Yeah. Okay, so protest is a crucial part of a democratic society. It's often the only tool that we the people have to stand up to injustice that we see from the powers that be. Without protest, corrupt government and industry can and will continue to exploit, extract, and oppress. I don't have to tell you that the climate crisis is an existential threat that none of us are safe from. It's happening now, and it's happening in the countries that did the least to contribute to the climate crisis. It's happening there more extremely than anywhere else. And you can't, it's increasingly impossible to argue with the fact that climate breakdown causes a threat to humanity. But yet the people who stand up and try to create change, try to ask our government to make better policies to keep us safe, these people have been imprisoned. These people have been arrested and given ankle tags and gone through the judiciary system and completely vilified, and now they're locked up for speaking the truth. So and what are our governments doing to protect us or prepare us for the climate crisis? Is actually worse than not enough, because they're sending these people to prison for protesting about it. The people motivated by fear and desperation and love to ask for better are deemed a threat and locked up. Climate crisis is a threat, right? War is a threat, right? How can the people who speak out about it be called a threat? So 18 of the people in prison right now are actionists who took action with Palestine Action. They're known as the Filton 18. Palestine Action, if you don't know, is a direct action group that targets Elbit Systems. And in case you don't know, Elbit Systems is a weapons manufacturer that's based in the UK. They sell weapons to the Israeli government that are used to commit the genocide in Gaza. And when they sell those weapons elsewhere, they list them as being battle tested, meaning they've successfully used those machines to murder innocent people in Gaza and then use battle tested like it's a selling point, like those people's lives don't matter. It's an evil company directly linked to genocide, a genocide that our government supposedly opposes. So the Palestine actionists who broke into an Elbit plant to disrupt the manufacturing of weapons of mass destruction, 18 of them are in prison on remand facing charges of terrorism. So they went in and they disrupted the supply chain of weapons that murder people, and they are being charged with terrorism. For me, it's clear they're the ones preventing terrorism. So I haven't figured out exactly what I want to use this platform to ask you. I kind of just wanted to talk about the fact that our right to protest is being massively encroached upon by the government. There are increasingly being more laws that are being passed that make it harder for us to protest and make it easier to imprison the people that do it. And the sentencing that people are getting, it's crazy. It's up to, well, the longest one so far, Roger Hallam, I think, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. And ultimately what he did was talk about an action on a Zoom call. Didn't actually do anything, just spoke about an action on a Zoom call. Yeah, and also when activists get to court, they're being told that there's certain things they can't say as part of their plea. So climate activists, for example, are being told that they're not allowed to speak about the climate crisis when they're talking about their motives because it's irrelevant. And actually no judge has the power to do that. That's not legal for a judge to do that, but they're doing it anyway. And they're also saying to juries that the jury shouldn't take any information about the climate crisis into account because it's irrelevant to the crime that the activists have done. Which in any other court hearing, the motive is a huge part of the trial, because it's written in our law that any juror has the right to find a defendant not guilty based on their conscience, which basically means that if you're a juror and you're listening to someone and you hear their justification for taking the action that they took and you think it was justified, you can find them not guilty. That's the whole point of a jury, and that's written in law. But there are judges telling jurors that they don't have that power and that talking about climate breakdown is irrelevant, and they're not allowing these defendants to speak about their motives, which is corrupt. You know, it's not news that the judiciary system is corrupt, but it's important to talk about it. And I also want to use this platform to say that I think one of the best things we can do with each other is just keep talking about these issues. There's a lot of really horrible stuff going on, and when we talk about them, we keep them alive and we help each other, we educate each other. It's not shameful to not know something, it's not shameful to ask questions. It's important for us to be compassionate when we're talking to each other, because I think everybody here at least wants the same thing. We want a fair and just society, and we want to minimize the harm to people. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say, really. And also, while I've got a platform, I think it would be really great if everybody who can hear me right now, today and tomorrow and the next day, just picked up 5 pieces of litter off the floor and put it in a bin and save the lovely recycling team a little bit of graft, because they work so hard. Okay, that is all. Oh, any questions? Rhiannon?
Can you also mention about how we can support those who are in prison? How do we support them?
Yeah, there's an organisation called RIPS, which stands for Rebels in Prison Support, and they keep track of all of our prisoners and where they are and how they're doing, and if they need anything from people on the outside. You can write to them, you can write to any prisoner. There's an email address where you can just send a general message to all the people who are in prison right now, and RIPS will get that out to them, which is a really beautiful thing to do. I've done it so many times. You don't even have to know exactly what to say, but I think it would be really, well, I've heard that it is for the people who are inside, really a warming thing just to hear from people who are outside. So if you want to send an email to anybody, let me know. If you know anybody inside and you want to be able to speak to them, I have all their contacts, so let me know. Or I guess you could donate to Rebels in Prison Support. They use their money to, well, sometimes they give money to the people who are inside, sometimes they pay for people's postage so people can write to them. Yes, I think that is how. Oh, and there's people going through the court systems right now, so court support is a role also that if you are interested in that, we just get volunteers to go to the courts with the people who are being tried and just listen and bear witness and be there in solidarity with the people who are being tried, because ultimately the things that the people are going to prison for right now, they're for all of us, right? It's desperate ordinary people doing everything they can to affect change. So yeah. Rhiannon.
Can you mention about defend our juries as well, and how our juries who've tried to stand up for their rights to be a good jury have ended up in prison as well?
Yeah, sure. So there's this other campaign called Defend Our Juries, which came off of the back of this amazing woman called Judy Warner stood outside of a court where some climate activists were being tried, and she held up a placard that says, "Every juror has the right to find a defendant not guilty based on their conscience," which is that line that's in the law, which is actually printed on a statue in the Old Bailey in London. That's that thing that means that if you're in a jury and you're listening to someone's motive and you feel that their actions were justified because of their motive, you can find them not guilty, and that's the whole point of the jury. So she was holding a sign outside the court with words that's already written on the wall inside the court, but she was arrested and charged with corruption of justice or something like that. Which is outrageous, because the exact same words were written inside the Old Bailey, but she was arrested. The charges were dropped eventually, but this sparked a movement called Defend Our Juries, and it's an amazing group of lots of legally trained people, and they're basically just really closely watching all the trials that happen and trying to amplify when these corrupt things happen and when these injustices happen. They've been really listening to what the judges say and listening out for when the judges are abusing their power and trying to amplify the messages out there so that we all hear about how corrupt it all is. Defend Our Juries. I would recommend looking at their website. There's so much information on there, it's amazing. You can sign up to their newsletter. They organise sit-ins outside of courts, often when political protesters are being tried. Yes, they're a good campaign to follow. Yeah? What did you say? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, I'm sorry. Yeah. Right?
Do you know a little bit more about Rosa Parks' story? Because we were taught about the suffragettes and Rosa Parks.
Would you mind if I gave you the microphone?
Don't mind.
You don't mind? Okay. I'm a little bit nervous that you're going to get some feedback, but we'll see.
You might, if you
We
come
will see.
forward, if not, if you can move forwards.
I don't actually know what to say.
Oh, say what you were saying.
We were being taught about the suffragettes back in college, and different stories, and how there's a particular woman that wasn't that old. She's around 17 that got arrested for just standing out what they wanted and what they needed, but she got arrested for it. There was a whole photo of her being arrested. We were just being taught about it in college. So when you mentioned the suffragettes, I was like, I know a little bit about it.
Yeah, nice.
Because of college, and
hang on.
Carry on.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that they
Can you bring the mic up?
trying to
Bring the mic up.
express those type of things. So glad that they were trying to express those type of things about the suffragettes and how that women should have those rights.
Yeah,
Same with different people, and I know that some studies on people that have disabilities have also been arrested for standing up what they stand for.
Yeah, right.
It's generally not great as the disabled person, because we need more people out there that will stand up.
Definitely, yeah, you're so right. You're in really good company here, because Rhiannon's very active in DFAP. Have you heard of DFAP?
No, I
Yeah.
haven't.
Disabled People Against Cuts. They're a really good group. Maybe you could look into it. They're a really good group that organise for disability rights. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah. People who are trying to change the world for the better often are criminalised, right?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how people start doing that. There's also been signs of them starting to not actually listen to the younger people out there.
Yeah.
especially children, about both types of things and different things that happen in the world. Like nowadays, it's still not the best situation, which is honestly crazy. We've tried so long to like try and make this place better.
Yeah.
People will still agree.
Yeah. It's really hard. I'm just going to move the speaker because it's getting really close. It's really hard. But
I can be ready in 10-15 minutes.
the best thing for that, I think, is finding other people who care like you care and just keeping on trying. We have to keep on
I'll
trying.
be ready to go.
It's insane how people are like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I just want people to try better, at least for the animals and stuff. I'm a true animal carer person.
What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm Rhiannon.
I'm really high on it.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it right? Okay. Has anybody else got a question?
I just wanted to say to Rose that tomorrow we've got the Young People's Forum,
Yeah.
so come and join us for that.
Yeah, we have a little.
Use
like,
the mic.
you
Use the
can
mic.
speak
Use
if
the
you
mic.
wanted to.
Yeah. Use the mic.
I
So
turned
everyone
it
can
down
hear.
because
Oh.
the feedback was happening.
But now you're there. It won't be.
But yeah, if there was anything you wanted to come and talk about, tomorrow 2 till 4-ish.
Yeah.
You'd be welcome to, but no pressure.
Yeah.
Or just come by and listen anyway. It'd be nice. Any more questions? You can always come back if you can't think of anything right now.
And just tell them that there's going to be more talks, and if you can.
Ah, yeah, okay. All right, coming up next on the Speakers Forum, we have a very interesting talk called From High Vis to Black Balaclavas versus the 1%. It's about the necessary escalation of direct action to overcome the powers that be. And then a bit later on, at 1:30, we're all going to the main gate because there's going to be a purple parade in memorial of a beautiful person who used to work at this festival called Purple Liz. We're going to have a purple parade and then a memorial ceremony in the healing field.
In the healing area, yeah.
Healing area. And then after that, here at 3 p.m, we've got a talk that we don't know the title of yet, but it's going to be something about trans rights. And then at 3:30, we've got a talk called Gender Anarchy Explosion. And then at 4 o'clock, we've got a talk called Stop Killing Us. I can't remember that one. But basically, it's welfare, not warfare. A talk about welfare, not warfare. That's a hashtag. Welfare, not warfare. And then something else.
At 5, we've got something about Palestine.
At 5, we've got something about Palestine.
Yeah, we haven't yet got the title.
We haven't yet got the title,
But we will have it.
but we will have it. Okay, thanks everybody.
Okay.
Lots of love.
Thank you, Rhiannon.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
See you later.